Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say something tonight that may shake you. It may rattle your bones and stir your soul. But I didn't come here to play safe. I came here to tell you the truth. Women don't want men who care about them. Yes, you heard me right. In a world where we are flooded with soft talk, with sensitivity seminars and emotional support circles, I came here tonight to pull back the veil and say, there's a deeper truth we've been avoiding. And if you walk out now, you may miss the one message that could change your relationships, your family, your very identity as a man or woman. Because this message isn't about romance. It's about restoring order in a world of chaos. So I ask, you, stay with me. What I'm about to say could break the chains of confusion that have bound a generation of men and women. We've been sold a lie that says, be a nice guy, be sweet, be harmless. But the truth is, niceness is not the foundation of love. Truth is, women don't want a man who crumbles under pressure, who asks permission to be masculine. They want a man who knows who he is and isn't afraid to stand up with spine and soul. Do you think a woman wants a man who cries every time life gets hard? Who tiptoes around her emotions like he's walking on glass? No. Real caring means protecting, guiding, sacrificing, and sometimes even rebuking. Caring isn't avoiding conflict. It's entering the fire to pull someone out. Oh, I've seen it. Women will tell the world they want a gentle man, a tender man. But when the storm hits, they want a pillar, not a pillow. When chaos rises, she doesn't want a man who feels deeply. She wants a man who stands deeply. We are witnessing the fallout of fatherless homes, spineless men, and confused boys. And still, the world says the answer is more softness. No, friend. The answer is revived strength, holy grit, and a return to the fire God put in the heart of man. The world fears strong men, but I tell you, God made you dangerous. Not to harm, but to heal. Not to dominate, but to deliver. When your strength is under divine authority, it becomes a force of righteousness. To the men, stop begging to be accepted. Stop softening your roar just to fit into a broken culture. To the women, don't settle for a man who only cares about you. Seek one who fights for you, leads you, and loves you with strength and truth. To everyone here tonight, we don't need more nice guys. We need righteous warriors, and I ask you, will you rise? We've been sold a lie that says be a nice guy, be sweet, be harmless. And for years, this idea has seeped into the soul of manhood like poison in a well. From classrooms to church, pews, from therapy sessions to television scripts, boys are told to shrink themselves, to tame their tone, to suppress their strength, to apologize for every ounce of masculine energy inside them. And what's the promised reward? That if they become more sensitive, more agreeable, more emotionally available, then they will be loved. That women will value them, that society will accept them. But the truth is far more painful, far more honest, and far more necessary to say, women don't desire men who are simply nice. The kind of caring that masquerades as manhood today is often nothing more than passivity with a smile. It's a shell of strength, a whisper of what was meant to be a roar. True caring, real, godly, sacrificial care, is not weak. It's not spineless. It's not void of conviction. It doesn't mean giving up your backbone just to please someone. And yet this false version of caring is everywhere. It's in the man who bends to every whim because he fears conflict. It's in the man who never says no because he doesn't want to upset her. It's in the man who sits quietly in the passenger seat of life, nodding along while everything inside him is screaming. That is not love. That is not leadership. That is not what women want, even if they can't articulate it. Women don't want a man who lives to please them. They want a man who lives with purpose, a man who stands for truth, a man who carries the weight of his calling with quiet strength and clear direction, a man who can say no with grace and yes with conviction, a man who isn't just emotionally available, but spiritually anchored. There's a difference between being tender and being timid. There's a difference between being caring and being cowardly. And far too many men today are praised for traits that have more to do with fear than with love. They fear rejection, so they over-accommodate. They fear judgment, so they silence their own voice. They fear being labeled toxic, so they suppress everything that makes them men. But women can feel the difference. Even if they don't say it out loud, they know when a man is operating from fear instead of faith. They know when his affection is really just appeasement. And over time, that kind of man becomes untrustworthy. Not because he's evil, but because he lacks direction. Women need to feel safe in a man's strength. They need to feel like they can rest in his clarity, in his decisiveness, in his courage. Not a cold, harsh strength, but a firm, unwavering one. The kind of strength that leads. The kind of strength that serves. The kind of strength that says, I care for you too much to lie to you. I care for you too much to let you drift. I care for you enough to take the hit if it means protecting your soul. That is what real caring looks like. True caring means courage. Courage to stand firm when the world tries to shake you. Courage to speak the hard truth when silence feels easier. Courage to protect rather than please. Too often, men have been told that caring means smoothing over every rough edge, avoiding conflict at all costs, and putting their own needs and convictions on hold to make others comfortable. But this kind of so-called caring is nothing but a mask for weakness. It's a form of cowardice disguised as kindness. Women don't want a man who runs from the hard conversations or hides behind vague promises of support. They want a man whose care is bold and active, a man who steps into the fire rather than away from it. Real love is not a gentle whisper, but a steadfast roar. It stands its ground when storms come. It refuses to back down when values are challenged. Caring is not a passive feeling. It's a sacrificial action. A daily decision to put someone else's needs above your own comfort, even when it hurts. When a man truly cares, he does not bend to appease, but stands to defend. This means telling the truth with grace, even when it risks rejection. It means holding the line with kindness and conviction. It means being willing to suffer for the good of the one you love. Such care demands strength and discipline, a heart anchored in conviction and a spirit willing to endure. Without this courage, care becomes hollow, leaving women feeling unprotected and unvalued. They may appreciate surface-level kindness for a time, but what truly builds trust and lasting love is the fierce protection that only courage can provide. A man who truly cares will not shy away from hard choices or difficult sacrifices. He will not water down his convictions to win approval. Instead, he will embrace his God-given strength to lead, to guard, and to love with unwavering resolve. This is the kind of caring that transforms relationships and honors the dignity of both man and woman. Women don't want a man who crumbles under pressure or avoids the hard realities of life. They want a man who embraces his role with strength and conviction. In today's world, too many men mistake being caring for being agreeable or submissive. But true love demands more than just soft words and gentle touches. It demands a man who can hold firm in his values, who can protect without overpowering, who can guide without controlling. Real caring is about leading with integrity and standing as a rock when everything else seems to shake. It's about having the courage to say what needs to be said, even when it's difficult, and doing what needs to be done, even when it's costly. This kind of love is not passive. It's active, intentional, and sacrificial. A woman's heart longs for a partner who can weather storms with her, who can bear the weight of responsibility and still show tenderness. She doesn't want a man who shrinks from challenges or hides behind excuses. She wants a man who steps up, who faces adversity with faith and determination, and who loves with a strength that comforts and protects. To care in this way is to be fully present, not just emotionally, but spiritually and practically. It's to love with the whole heart, the whole mind, and the whole soul. It's the love that says, I am here for you, no matter what, and proves it through action, not just words. This is the love that builds trust, inspires confidence, and creates a foundation that can withstand life's trials. Without this kind of caring, relationships falter and hearts grow weary. But when a man loves with courage and conviction, he becomes a sanctuary, a source of peace, and a beacon of hope. We live in a time when the very idea of masculinity is under attack, misunderstood, and often maligned. Men are told that their natural strength, their boldness, their ability to lead and protect is somehow toxic, And as a result, many have retreated from what God intended for them to be warriors of love, defenders of truth, and anchors of their families. This retreat has left a void, a vacuum of leadership that women deeply feel. They don't want men who simply care in a passive way. They want men who care with purpose, who care with strength. When masculinity collapses into meekness or avoidance, it creates confusion and pain. Women sense this collapse. They sense when a man lacks backbone or conviction, and it leaves them uncertain, vulnerable, and unfulfilled. The world praises men who are gentle, but neglects to honor the strength behind true gentleness. Strength and gentleness are not opposites but partners. One without the other becomes either tyranny or weakness. We need men who reclaim their God-given authority, not to dominate but to serve. Men who stand firm in their values and lead their families with courage and compassion. When men fail to rise, women suffer, not because women want control, but because they long for a strong hand to hold, a steadfast presence to rely on. This is not about power for power's sake, but about the sacred responsibility that comes with being a man. It's a call to return to the original design where masculinity is a gift to be wielded in love and truth, a force that builds rather than destroys. Without this revival, relationships falter, homes fracture, and society pays the price. But with it, there is hope. Hope for restored marriages, hope for healed hearts, hope for a future where men and women walk together in balance and purpose. Deep within the heart of every woman lies a profound longing, not merely for comfort or companionship, but for a love that is fierce, dependable, and unwavering. She does not want to be the strongest or the most courageous in the relationship. Rather, she desires a man whose love embodies strength tempered with tenderness. This love is not a fragile thing, easily shattered by life's storms, but a fortress that stands firm through trials and tribulations. Women intuitively crave a protector whose courage is rooted not in domination, but in sacrificial care. A man who will stand in the gap when adversity comes, who will bear burdens alongside her without shrinking away. Such love requires a man to be fully present, to embrace responsibility with joy rather than reluctance, and to lead with humility and conviction. It calls for a heart that is brave enough to be vulnerable, yet steadfast enough to provide security. Women long for this kind of strength because it mirrors the very nature of love itself. Strong enough to endure, gentle enough to nurture, constant enough to heal. When a man offers this kind of love, he becomes a refuge, a safe harbor in a world that is often harsh and unpredictable. She doesn't want a caretaker who simply pampers. She wants a warrior who cares enough to fight for her well-being, who loves enough to discipline, and who leads enough to inspire. This is the kind of love that transforms not only relationships but lives, and it is what women truly desire when they seek a man who cares. If you look around today, you'll see a world that is quick to condemn men for their strength and quick to celebrate weakness disguised as caring. Many men have been made to feel ashamed for standing tall, for speaking their mind, for showing conviction. They have been labeled as toxic simply because they embody the qualities that were meant to protect and build up those around them. But here is the truth that must be heard. God did not create men to be meek or timid. He created them to be warriors. Warriors in love, warriors in faith, warriors in sacrifice. To be a man is to carry a certain weight, a responsibility that demands courage and resilience. It means sometimes being misunderstood, sometimes standing alone, sometimes being the rock when everyone else feels like sinking. This weight is not a burden but a calling, a divine purpose that, when embraced, transforms men into pillars of strength and sources of unwavering love. Men who accept this calling do not cower in the face of adversity. They confront it head-on. They do not retreat from their role, they rise to it. And women, deep in their hearts, recognize this. They do not want men who merely pay lip service to care, or who soften their edge to avoid discomfort. They want men who are dangerous in the right way, dangerous to the forces that threaten their families, their values, and their souls. Such men are not threats but protectors, not oppressors but leaders. And this is the kind of man God calls every man to be. As we draw this message to a close, let us remember that true love, true care, is not found in mere softness or empty words, but in strength guided by purpose and conviction. Women don't simply want men who care. They want men who care deeply enough to stand firm, to lead boldly, and to love sacrificially. This kind of love requires courage, it demands faith, and it calls men to rise above a culture that confuses weakness with kindness. To the men listening tonight, do not shrink from the calling God has placed on your life. Embrace your strength, anchor your care in truth, and lead with a heart full of courage. To the women, seek out the men who will stand for you, who will protect you, and who will love you with a fierce and steady hand. Together, may we restore the balance that honors both strength and tenderness, and may we walk forward in relationships built on real love, the kind that transforms, heals, and endures. Now is the time for men to rise, for love to be courageous, and for all of us to live in the fullness of God's design.